When applying for a Canadian visa, especially for categories like Express Entry, Provincial Nominee Program, PNP, student visas, or even tourist visas, one of the key requirements is proving that you have sufficient funds to support yourself and your family, if applicable, during your stay in Canada. This proof of funds ensures that you can cover your living expenses without relying on government assistance. In this guide, we'll walk through the various ways you can prove sufficient funds, what documents are required, and how to ensure your financial evidence meets the standards set by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, IRCC. Before we dive in, remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who are applying for Canadian visas. Sharing this valuable information can help others ensure their application is successful, and God will count this as your contribution toward helping your community. 1. What is proof of funds? Proof of funds is a requirement in many Canadian visa applications where you demonstrate that you have enough money to cover your living costs in Canada. The exact amount required varies depending on the type of visa and the number of people included in your application. A. Why is proof of funds required? Canada wants to ensure that immigrants or visitors can financially sustain themselves while in the country. This reduces the likelihood of new immigrants relying on public funds or welfare assistance and ensures that you can cover basic needs like housing, food, transportation, and health care, if not covered by insurance. B. Who needs to show proof of funds? Express Entry applicants, specifically for Federal Skilled Worker Program, FSWP, and Federal Skilled Trades Program, FSTP. Provincial Nominee Program, PNP, applicants, unless you have a valid job offer in Canada. International students applying for a study permit, tourists or visitors applying for a temporary resident visa, TRV, must also show that they can cover their stay. 2. How much money do you need to show? The amount of money you need to prove varies based on the visa category and the number of people included in your application. For permanent residency applications like Express Entry, IRCC updates the required amount annually, and it depends on the number of family members. For other visa categories like study permits, you'll need to show proof that you can cover tuition fees and living expenses for at least 1 year. 3. What types of funds are acceptable? When proving sufficient funds, not all types of financial resources are accepted. IRCC has specific guidelines on what counts as proof of funds. A. Acceptable forms of proof. Bank account statements. These must show the average balance over the past 6 months and should be from a recognized financial institution. Bank drafts or certified checks. Evidence of liquid funds you can access once in Canada. Savings or fixed deposits. If you hold savings in a fixed deposit, make sure to provide documentation that proves the funds are accessible. Proof of income or employment. Recent pay stubs or a letter from your employer confirming your salary and continued employment, for some categories like study permits. Investment statements. In some cases, investments like stocks, bonds, or mutual funds can be considered as long as they can be easily liquidated. B. Unacceptable forms of proof. Property ownership documents. IRCC does not consider the value of real estate or other non-liquid assets. Borrowed money or loans. You cannot rely on borrowed funds to meet the proof of funds requirement. Credit card statements. Lines of credit or available credit do not count as sufficient funds. 4. Documents required for proof of funds. When providing proof of sufficient funds, it's important to ensure that your documents are clear, accurate, and meet the specific requirements laid out by IRCC. A. Bank statements. The bank name and address must be clearly visible. The statements should be recent, covering the last 6 months of transactions. Include your account numbers, you can mask some digits for security purposes, and show balances. If possible, provide a letter from your bank summarizing your accounts, the average balance, and the date the account was opened. B. Bank drafts or certificates of deposit. Provide official documents from the bank or financial institution showing the funds and confirming they are readily accessible. Ensure these documents are recent and clearly show the total amount of funds. C. Investment or savings statements. If you have investments, e.g., stocks or bonds, provide recent statements that show the current market value of your holdings. For fixed deposits, make sure to provide documents that clearly state the maturity date and confirm that the funds can be accessed. Letter from employer. For students or visitors, a letter from your employer can be used as part of your proof of funds if it confirms ongoing employment and provides details about your income. 5. Special cases. Proof of funds for students and visitors. A. International students. When applying for a study permit, you must show that you can cover your tuition fees and living expenses for the first year of your studies. The proof of funds should include tuition fees for 1 year, living expenses, IRCC estimates about 10,000 Canadian dollars for a single student, return transportation costs, though not always required, showing you can afford your return trip can be helpful. B. Tourist or visitor. Visa. For a tourist visa, you'll need to prove that you can cover your expenses for the duration of your stay. This includes funds for accommodation, transportation, food, and other expenses. Bank statements showing sufficient liquid funds. A letter from your employer or evidence of return travel may also be required to show you won't overstay your visa. 6. Tips to ensure success. Here are a few tips to ensure that your proof of funds meets IRCC's standards. Keep your funds consistent. Large deposits or sudden transfers into your account can raise red flags. Ensure your account maintains a steady balance for the months leading up to your application. Document everything. If you've received a gift or inheritance as part of your funds, include a letter explaining the source. Convert to Canadian dollars. If your funds are in a foreign currency, provide a conversion to CAD to make it easier for IRCC officers to assess. Check for updates. Ensure you're aware of the most recent minimum fund requirements, as these are updated periodically. Proving sufficient funds is a critical part of your Canadian visa application. Ensuring you provide the correct documents, meet the financial thresholds, and maintain consistent financial records will improve your chances of a successful application. Always review the specific requirements for your visa category, and don't hesitate to seek professional advice if needed. If this guide has been helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who are applying for Canadian visas. Helping them avoid common mistakes and prepare their proof of funds can make a big difference in their immigration journey.